In the dark beyond Andari space, where maps became myths and patrols refused to fly, the outlaw frigate Valkyr's vow glided silent and unseen. Its black hull shimmered against distant starlight, cloaked in stolen tech and old secrets. Captain Cale Wren, 40-furred, scarred and unshaved, leaned forward in the command chair, eyes locked on a slowly rotating anomaly dead ahead, a spiraling fragment of a lost planet. "This is it," Cale said. "Coordinates match the old archive. If the legend's real, it's buried inside." First Mate Talon Voss, mid-30s, wiry, sharp-eyed, responded, "Still think a mythical vault's worth dying for?" Cale grunted. "It's not the vault, it's who locked it." Below the surface, ancient signals pulsed, codes not seen since the Galactic collapse. The crew stared at the view screen in tense silence. Pilot Rhea, 28, short, tactical braids, said, "Something's waking down there." Cale stood. "Then we go first." Lights dimmed. The Valkyr's vow descended into orbit. A new legend was about to be written. The Valkyr's vow descended through the splintered atmosphere of the shattered world, skimming fractured canyons lit by lightning, trapped in slow-motion storms. Dust rose from below, thick with metallic debris and echoes of forgotten machinery. Cale stood behind Rhea, eyes scanning the endless wreckage. "This place was alive once," he said. Talon replied. "So was every graveyard." Sensors blinked. Beneath a jagged ridge, a structure pulsed faintly, a spire carved from obsidian and gold-veined stone. "That's not natural," Rhea said. Cale narrowed his eyes. "That's a vault." As they landed, the spire shimmered with a low-energy field, ancient tech humming in resonance. Cale turned to his team. "No comms, no drones. We go in quiet." The ramp opened to wind and silence. Talon muttered, "Why does every legend start with a door we shouldn't open?" Cale smirked grimly. "Because it always ends with someone doing it anyway." The crew stepped out. The legend waited. Wind howled across the ruins as the crew moved toward the vault. Rhea kept low, eyes scanning the terrain. Cale's boots crunched ancient circuitry embedded in stone. "Symbols everywhere," Talon said. "Pre-collapse dialect. Looks like ceremonial coding." Marin, their tech linguist, early 40s, quiet and scarred, ran a gloved hand along the archway. "This wasn't built. It was sung into existence." Cale raised an eyebrow. "I don't care how it got here. I care what's behind it." The door before them pulsed once, sensing their presence. Rhea stepped back. "That wasn't random." Cale drew his pistol. "No such thing as random in old tech." The vault door rotated silently, unlocking without command. A pulse of warmth passed through them, memory encoded in air. Marin whispered, "It wants us to remember something." Talon muttered, "Maybe it should start with who buried it." As the door opened, a soft light spilled out. The vault was waking. Inside the vault, light bent strangely. Air shimmered with stored resonance, the walls reflecting not their shapes, but their thoughts. Cale stared as fragments of his past flickered across smooth surfaces. A boy holding a badge, a fire, a lost crew. "It's reading us," Marin said. "Or projecting from us." Talon stepped cautiously, his reflection watching him with a delay. "I hate this already." At the chamber's center stood a dais holding a black prism, faintly pulsing. Cale reached toward it. Marin's voice cut through the tension. "It's a memory lock, trinary coded. You touch it, it responds." Cale hesitated, then made contact. The room pulsed white. A vision exploded into their minds, starships in formation, a woman in armor standing atop a ruin, holding the prism. "Commander Ilyra," Marin said, voice hushed. "She vanished before the collapse." Cale's jaw tightened. "Looks like she left something behind." The light dimmed. The prism now pulsed faster. It had recognized him. The vault began to shift. Wall seams dissolved, revealing a passageway deeper underground. The prism floated from the dais, gently orbiting Kale's head. Marin stepped closer, scanning its emissions. It's tethered to him. Biobound. Talon scoffed. That's just great. Kale reached for it again, but it hovered just out of reach. It's choosing, Marin said. You just got nominated. For what? Talon asked. No idea, Marin replied. But the last person it chose became a legend. The deeper corridor pulsed with gold lines, guiding paths, long-dormant. Rhea activated her scanner. Something's powering up below, not just the vault, the whole grid. Kale turned to the team. We finish this. No one else gets here before we know what's buried. Talon muttered, or what's guarding it. As they moved deeper, the prism dimmed and followed. Whatever Commander Ilyra had hidden here, it was no artifact. It was a test. And it had just begun. The tunnel beneath the vault sloped deeper than any scans predicted, descending into layers of stone fused with circuitry older than any recorded system. Faint pulses followed the crew as they moved, each footstep activating new sequences of light. Talon muttered, "This place is listening." Kale pressed forward, jaw set. Let it. Maybe it'll answer. At the end of the corridor stood a chamber with 6 empty alcoves surrounding a circular interface, each alcove framed with a different emblem, etched in unknown alloys. Marin studied them, frowning. These aren't decorative. They're keys. Biological. Maybe even genetic. Rhea paced the room's edge, her scanner useless. No readings. This place doesn't want to be understood. Kale placed his hand on one of the alcoves. The room vibrated faintly. A ghostly projection appeared. A woman in battle armor, Commander Ilyra, speaking in broken waveform. 6 must stand, only then shall the archive awaken. Kale whispered. She locked it herself. The projection flickered and looped as the crew stood in silence. Kale walked the perimeter, studying each alcove. 6 slots. We've got 5. Rhea said. We need a 6th, Marin replied, or the system needs one. Kale ran a hand over the emblem near his alcove, its symbol now glowing faintly. One of us was meant to be here. The crew tested placements, standing in different positions. As each person stepped into an alcove, a resonance began, a low harmonic hum, until the 6th slot remained empty. Suddenly, the prism that had followed Kale pulsed violently and projected a new image. A boy. Late teens. Blonde. Dirty. One person poor. Afraid. That's Dax, Kale muttered. Stowaway. Engineering crew picked him up last cycle. Rhea said, he's not even trained. He's something, Marin replied. Or this place thinks he is. Kale keyed comms. Dax, get to the vault. There was no response. Then static crackled in his earpiece. I think I'm already inside. Dax stepped into the chamber slowly, his eyes wide as the prism floated to him and dim. I didn't mean to be here, he said. Kale motioned him forward. I'm solo. No one ever does. Stand in the last position. The boy hesitated. It feels like it's watching me. Marin said softly. It is. But it's not judging you. It's remembering you. As Dax took his place, the chamber reacted. Light surged across the floor, weaving between the 6 stations like synapses firing. The projection of Commander Ilyra grew brighter. Her voice stabilized. The archive opens only to those who understand loss. The floor beneath them trembled, then descended, slowly, silently, like an elevator moving through thought rather than stone. Rhea whispered, Where are we going? Marin's voice held awe. Not a vault, a consciousness. Kale turned his eyes forward. Then let's meet the mind behind the myth. The descent ended in a chamber without walls. The structure expanded infinitely in all directions, columns of light hovering in impossible geometries, flickering with encoded thought. The prism floated again, now brighter, spinning in rhythm with a deep, pulsing hum. Kale stepped forward. This isn't architecture, it's a memory palace. Marin nodded. An echo of Ilyra's mind, preserved in quantum strata. As they moved, scenes activated, fragmented memories of war, alliance, betrayal. Kale reached toward one. A battlefield unfurled before them. Ilyra standing over a fallen enemy, blood on her blade. She wanted someone to witness this, Rhea said. Not the victory, the cost. Talon paced slowly. Why store all this? Marin answered, because memory is the only thing that survives collapse. Dax stood apart, drawn toward a solitary pillar of light. It flickered, showing his face, older, scarred, wearing the same armor as Ilyra. Kale said maybe this vault isn't just remembering, maybe it's choosing. The memories faded as a central column rose from the floor, covered in glyphs that began shifting and realigning into recognizable forms. Marin gasped. It's rewriting language based on what we understand. A new voice filled the chamber. Not Ilyra's, but layered, harmonic. Who speaks for the living? Kale stepped forward. We do. The light deepened to violet. Then you must understand what she gave, the voice said. A new memory erupted. Ilyra, alone, initiating the vault lock as the collapse tore through the galaxy. She encoded herself into the prism, not as storage, but as sacrifice. Talon said, she didn't just hide history, she became the key. The column split open, revealing a small object, metal, round, glowing faintly. Marin whispered, "Is that it?" Kale stepped forward and picked it up. That's a star core, pre-collapse power cell, her last reserve. The light pulsed once more. Legends must be carried, or they are dust. The vault dimmed. The vault sealed behind them, disappearing into the stone as if it had never existed. Back aboard the Valkyr's vow, Kale laid the star core on the central console. It pulsed in sync with the ship's systems, quietly binding to its surroundings. Rhea said, "You feel that? It's sensing with us." Talon leaned in, cautious. "We're running a legend through a stolen ship. That won't go unnoticed." Marin stood near the comms array. It's broadcasting. Not wide, not loud, but the signal is there. Kale clenched his jaw. Then, someone's already listening. They didn't have to wait long. A proximity alert flashed. Rhea snapped to her station. Incoming vessel. No ID, no transponder. Kale asked, "Stealth tech, military grade." The view screen flickered. A sleek black warship emerged from the asteroid shadow, hull etched with the mark of the Arcan Syndicate. Talon hissed, "They found us." Kale said nothing. He stared at the core. "Then we make this legend fight back." The Arcan ship hailed them. Audio only. A clipped cold voice crackled through. "Stand down, surrender the object. You are unauthorized and outgunned." Kale muted the channel. "We're not built for a fight." Rhea whispered, "But they don't know that." Marin's fingers raced over her console. "I can piggyback the vault's harmonic signal through our drives, mask our location for about 30 seconds. Talon asked, "And then?" She smiled grimly. "We're visible and dead." Kale nodded. "Then 30 seconds is all we need." The crew scattered into action. As the Arcan ship charged weapons, Valkyr's vow disappeared in a flicker of bent space, an impossible micro-jump into low orbit of the shattered planet. Engines screamed in protest. The ship barely held together. Kale gripped the rail, sweat beading. "Again," he said. Rhea stared in disbelief. "We'll tear the hull apart," Kale said. "If we stay still, we don't need a hull." She hit the jump. The ship vanished once more. The ship dropped from the jump into dead space. No stars, no signal, no noise. Just silence and dark matter fog. Talon staggered from his station, checking diagnostics. "We blew half the secondary array. Engines are fried." Marin checked her data node. "But we're off-grid. For now." Dax sat quietly, the star core beside him. "It's not reacting anymore." Kale looked at it. Maybe it's waiting. Rhea scanned the dark. Or calculating who's next. Kale turned to Marin. How many others know what this thing is? She shook her head. Fewer than 10 galaxy-wide, but enough. The silence was broken by a soft ping, an encrypted distress beacon. Kale frowned. Military code. Old. Human origin. Talon asked, "You think it's a trap?" Kale answered probably. He turned to Dax. "But legends don't hide. They answer." Rhea whispered, "Or they die in the dark." Kale stared at the screen. "Let's find out which one we are." They found the source, a disabled research vessel floating inside a debris cloud, half swallowed by an asteroid shard. The ship's nameplate was scorched but readable. Scouroboros. Kale said, "This ship vanished during the collapse." Rhea circled them slowly. No power signature, no life signs, but the beacon's clean. They boarded carefully. Inside, time felt, paused. Frozen screens, shattered glass, but no decay. "This place hasn't aged," Marin said. "Temporal lock." Dax ran a hand over a smooth panel. "Feels like the vault." In the core chamber they found her, a cryopod, still active, containing a woman in battered armor, Commander Ilyra. Real. Wine, Paul. Preserved. Kale stepped back. She didn't just leave messages behind, she left herself. Marin studied the pod. If she wakes, everything changes. This becomes more than a legend. Talon asked. "And if she doesn't?" Kale didn't blink. "Then we keep carrying it. Until someone does." Ilyra's eyes opened. Slowly. No alarms. No speeches. Just breath, returning to lungs that had waited for centuries. Marin stepped forward. "Do you know where you are?" Ilyra studied the crew, then the star core in Kale's hand. "Yes," she said hoarsely. "It found you." Kale asked, "What is it?" Ilyra sat up. "A map? A weapon? A memory? All the same thing." She looked at Dax. "You're the one, aren't you?" Dax backed away, confused. "What does that mean?" Ilyra smiled sadly. "It means you have a choice. You can be the end of this story, or the next beginning." Kale said, "We brought you back because someone had to finish what you started." Ilyra met his eyes. "No one finishes legends, we just pass them on." Behind them, systems on the Ouroboros powered up. Lights returned. The ship itself stirred, as if its soul had been waiting too. The Ouroboros stirred to life with slow, ancient resolve. Screens blinked, life support cycled, and long-dead systems found rhythm again. Ilyra stood unassisted now, wrapped in a thermal cloak, observing the crew of the Valkyr's vow like a tactician studying a chessboard. "How long has it been?" she asked. Marin replied, 112 standard years. You locked the vault just before the collapse." Ilyra nodded slowly. "Then, the galaxy is fractured." Kale answered, "Worse. It remembers just enough to fear the truth." Ilyra walked to the star core. This was never meant to be found by chance. It responds only to pain, memory, and intent. Dax shifted uncomfortably. "It responded to me." Ilyra looked at him carefully. "Then you've lost something, or are about to." Outside, motion alarms lit the bridge. "Incoming ship," Rhea called. 3 signals, no flags. Kale looked to Ilyra. "Your history, but they're hunting you like currency." Ilyra's eyes narrowed. "Then let's see what they're worth." The ships didn't speak first. They opened fire. The Ouroboros rocked as outer plating took the brunt of a kinetic blast. "Shields are failing," Rhea shouted. "It's not meant for combat." Kale turned to Ilyra. "This was your ship. Ideas?" She moved like a memory restored, sliding into the primary console. Her fingers moved across controls that hadn't lit in over a century. "It doesn't fight with weapons," she said. "It fights with disruption." Lights across the deck flickered. A deep resonance rose from the floor. Marin's eyes widened. She's rewriting local gravity. Outside, the attackers began to drift. Their ships lost formation. One crumpled as pressure compressed its own hull. Talon stared. She turned their mass against them. Ilyra said, "You don't survive the collapse without learning how to unmake things." Kale whispered, "You're not just a commander. You're a relic of war." Ilyra replied, "I'm what comes after peace fails." One ship exploded silently beyond the viewport. Silence returned, save for the groaning of the ship's aging hull. Ilyra slumped in the chair, drained. "It takes more each time," she admitted. Marin helped steady her. What was that system? Collapse countermeasure. It reshaped enemy intent before enemy shape. Kale stepped back from the console. "You just fought with physics," Talon added, "and fried half the circuit grid doing it." Dax watched from the shadows, his eyes on the star core. "If that's what it can do, what else is in there?" Ilyra looked at him, then back at the star core. "Nothing in there is passive. Everything stored is stored for a reason. Knowledge, weaponry, memory, sacrifice." Rhea called from the pilot seat, "We've got an updated signal ping. Encrypted. Looks military grade, originating from near the Vira belt." Ilyra's face went cold. "That's where it ends." Kale frowned. "What ends?" She looked him dead in the eye. "The part where the galaxy doesn't remember." The Vira belt was a wreck field, thousands of vessels reduced to rusting graves drifting in silence. But at its center, something moved. A station built from collapse-era tech, wrapped in armor scavenged from dead battleships. "That's the archive spire," Ilyra said. "Last server of the old Accord." Rhea whispered, "It still exists?" "Buried," Ilyra answered. "And protected by zealots who'd rather kill the past than share it." The Valkyr's vow crept forward under cloak. Kale stood behind Rhea. "We go quiet, we go fast. Get in, get what she needs, and get out." Talon added, "You mean the truth?" Kale replied, "I mean the last piece of the memory." Dax sat alone, watching the prism in his hands pulse faster. "It's calling to something down there." Marin checked the scans. "It's syncing with the spire's core." Kale looked at Ilyra. "You sure about this?" She didn't smile. "I've died once for this. I won't do it again just to keep it buried." They breached the archive spire's outer shell in silence. No alarms. No resistance. Just decay, dust, and the lingering smell of old coolant and fire. As they advanced, the walls came alive, not with lights, but memory. Voices echoed. Data flowed like blood through the stone. Ilyra stopped. "This is it." A central chamber opened ahead, revealing a circular cradle lined with 6 terminals, each one active and waiting. "Same design as the vault," Marin said. "This must be the route." Dax stepped forward, prism in hand. "It fits here." Kale stopped him. "You sure?" Dax nodded. "No, but it wants to go home." He placed the prism at the core. Energy surged. All 6 stations flared to life. Images burst through the air. Battles lost. Truths silenced. Empires built on lies. Talon whispered, "They buried all of this." Ilyra stood tall. "No, they erased it." Kale looked around. "Then we rewrite it." The archive began to awaken. The archive spire sang. Not musically, but through light, vibration, data. Projections spilled from its heart in massive waves, spilling into secure channels and dormant satellites alike. Across fractured systems, the truth resurfaced. Ilyra's sacrifice, the erased wars, the betrayal of peace. "It's broadcasting on every old Accord frequency," Marin said. "Encrypted but loud." Talon leaned on the console, staring at cascading files. "This will break things." Kale's jaw tightened. "Good." Dax watched in silence, the prism now dormant in his hand. "They're going to come for us now, aren't they?" Kale nodded. "Every power that benefited from the lie." Outside ships stirred. Small patrols. Syndicate probes. Independent forces, already converging. Ilyra moved like a soldier who'd been through this once before. They'll call us heretics, traitors, terrorists. Kale looked to her. And what do we call ourselves? She raised her chin. We're what the truth looks like when it stops asking permission. News of the Archive's awakening spread faster than ships could travel. Rebel groups sparked uprisings on fringe worlds. Technocratic factions condemned the data as fabricated history. In the Galactic core, councils convened emergency sessions under the pretense of containment. Ilyra stood on the Valkyr's Vows bridge, watching scattered broadcasts, riots on Ardon Station, mass defections from Dominion fleets, flags burned in cold vacuum. They're not ready, she said. Kale replied. They were never going to be. Marin interrupted from the comms deck. We have an open request, encrypted, directed to Ilyra. From the Eos Monastery. Ilyra froze. They're still alive. Talon frowned. Who? The last historians, she said. The ones who didn't submit. Kale stepped in. What do they want? Ilyra turned toward the nav terminal. They want the rest of the archive. Rhea looked up. There's more? Ilyra nodded. I left one piece behind. The only one that could kill everything we just saved. They charted a course to the rim, uncharted systems at the edge of collapse space. Eos was hidden within a stellar graveyard, protected by temporal scatter fields. As the ship approached, the sensors glitched. I'm flying blind, Rhea said. Literally. Kale replied, then trust the pulse. The prism vibrated faintly in Dax's hands, acting like a compass. Left, he murmured. Down 2 degrees. The ship adjusted. The debris field cleared. There, in orbit of a dead sun, floated a monolithic ring station. Half temple, half machine. The Eos Monastery. Talon muttered. How is that thing even powered? Marin stared at the sensor feedback. It's running off memory. Ilyra nodded. Every archive has a core. This one has souls tethered to it. The comms clicked. A voice spoke, ancient and warm. Ilyra, you've come home. Kale's eyes narrowed. You sure they're allies? She didn't smile. They were once. But truth has a way of making enemies out of friends. Inside the monastery, air felt older than stone. Everything pulsed with residual energy, like time slowed just enough to be sacred. Ilyra walked the hall alone. Cloaked figures watched from alcoves, silent as shadows. You carry the fracture, one said. I carry what it cost, she replied. The High Curator emerged, thin, genderless, cloaked in layered black, with a voice like cracked glass. You've broken the chain. Ilyra bowed slightly. I've awakened it. The Curator gestured. Then, see what you've reawakened. A chamber opened. At its center, a mirrored vault, older than the archive, older than Ilyra. What's in there? Dax asked quietly. Ilyra turned to him. Something not meant to be stored, only buried. Kale stepped forward. Why bring us here if it's dangerous? The Curator answered, because someone else is already trying to find it. Marin's voice was tight. Who? A pause. Then, the Syndicate. And they're already here. The Syndicate attack came without warning. Shockwaves tore through the monastery's outer rings. Alarms screamed. Kale grabbed the prism and signaled retreat, but Ilyra stood her ground. We can't leave it. If they take the vault, everything unravels. Talon shouted, We are outgunned. Marin tapped into the vault's interface. There's something here. Not a weapon. An identity key. Dax stepped forward. I'll open it. Ilyra grabbed his wrist. It could consume you, or them, he replied. He pressed his palm to the interface. The vault opened. Light, raw, and overwhelming. Spilled out. Data, memory, names, wars, secrets. The Syndicate forces screamed as the light reached them. Ships faltered. Engines died. Mines broke. Ilyra whispered, "That was the last archive. Not data, not storage." Kale asked, "Then what?" She answered, "Judgment." Outside, the Syndicate fleet turned to retreat. Not out of strategy, but fear. Dax collapsed. The prism shattered. The legend had become a reckoning. The galaxy tilted. Not literally, but perceptually. Systems once considered stable began unraveling. Power structures fractured. Symbols of control, the Syndicate, the Core Accord, even the silent Order of Rel, began to fracture under the gravity of memory. Ilyra stood at the window of the Valkyr's vow, watching the shattered fleet drift from the edge of the Eos system. Judgment wasn't just truth, she said. It was a mirror. Everyone saw what they were. Kale leaned beside her, arms crossed. And some didn't survive it. Dax lay in med bay, unconscious since the vault opened. The prism had fused into ash, nothing left but a faint resonance in the ship's systems. Marin reviewed the pulse signature. He didn't just survive it, he channeled it. Talon said, "What now? The data's out. The Syndicate's broken." Ilyra shook her head. "Truth isn't an end. It's a weapon. And now everyone wants to be the one holding it." Dax awoke in silence. Not pain, not fear, just awareness. He stared at the ceiling of the medbay as systems whispered softly around him. Ilyra entered, her expression unreadable. "You opened something no one was meant to hold," she said. Dax whispered, "I saw everything. Not just what was lost. What could have been." Marin approached with a datapad. "There's residual imprinting in your neural signature. Like the vault left. A fragment." Dax sat up slowly. "Is it dangerous?" Talon, leaning in the doorway, answered first. "You mean to us, or to the galaxy?" Kale entered last, his eyes sharp but calm. "We don't know what you are now. We just know the galaxy thinks you're the one who started all this." Dax looked around. "Then we need to finish it, before someone else uses the truth as a weapon worse than the lie." Ilyra didn't smile, but her silence carried weight. Agreement. Respect. Maybe even fear. Across the stars, the story fractured. On Corsus IV, protesters flooded the planetary capital with memory projectors built from hacked archive code. On Navarre's edge, former Syndicate governors broadcast tearful apologies, some honest, most coerced. But deeper still, hidden systems lit up with synchronized pings. The old order of Rel had awoken. Kale stood before the crew. Everyone's rewriting their stories now, trying to take credit or erase their blame. Marin showed a new set of coordinates. "This signal's too clean to be random. Rillian cipher. And it's pointed directly at the vault site on Delva Prime." Ilyra's voice darkened. "That planet's been locked since the collapse." Talon replied, "Looks like someone's trying to unlock it." Kale looked to Dax. "You up for another one?" Dax stared at the star map. "They're not after truth anymore. They want control." Kale nodded. "Then we don't just hold the truth, we protect it." Delva Prime appeared broken from orbit. Blackened skies. Well, cracked crust. A planet held in stasis by failure. The crew descended in the drop skiff, tension thick. Ilyra briefed them mid-flight. The original Accord buried something here, too dangerous to trust, too powerful to destroy. They erased the vault location after the collapse, but the Rel kept it hidden. Rhea piloted low, skimming across ash-covered ridges. Surface scans show movement. 2 dropships landed before us. Kale locked his weapon into place. "Then we're not alone." They touched down near the vault site, half buried in obsidian and ice. Talon muttered, "It's shaped like the others, but it's fractured." Dax stepped forward. "It's waiting." As they neared the entrance, the vault reacted, not with light but sound. A low, harmonic chord vibrated through their bones. Marin whispered. This one isn't passive. It's defending itself. The ground shook. Above them, figures emerged from the ridge, robed, masked, and armed. The Order of Rel had arrived. Blades ignited. Not swords, but memory-forged energy constructs, humming with ancient code. The Rel moved with precision, coordinated like one mind. Kale shouted, "Cover Dax! Get him to the vault!" Blaster fire lit the dust-choked air. Ilyra moved through the chaos like a revenant, blocking, disarming, striking. Talon took a blade to the shoulder and fell back. Marin dragged him behind cover, screaming for medical drones. Rhea strafed the outer flank, keeping the skiff's guns cycling in defensive bursts. Dax reached the vault door. It pulsed, recognizing him. "I need more time," he shouted. "We don't have it," Kale yelled. One of the Rel closed in, blade raised, only to freeze mid-strike as the vault emitted a scream. Not audible, but mental. All combat stopped. Time bent. Light fractured. The vault opened, and what stood behind it wasn't technology. It was a being, holographic, human-shaped, constructed of thought and history. Dax whispered, "This is what was buried. Not data. A conscience." The being stood still, but its presence rippled through every mind present. It was not alive in the organic sense, but aware, an encoded conscience shaped by the memory of the collapse. "It's a witness," Marin said quietly. "A construct that saw everything and chose to remember." Dax stood before it, bathed in shifting light. "Can it speak?" Ilyra stepped forward. "It doesn't need to." Images flared across the battlefield, universal, unbiased, unfiltered. The last days of the Accord. The creation of the first vault. The decision to bury truth so civilization could survive. Kale whispered, "They chose silence to preserve order." Ilyra's jaw tightened. But that silence became control. Around them, the Rel dropped their weapons, stunned. Their leader, a tall masked figure, removed her hood. "We followed a truth we didn't understand." The being turned to her, light pulsing. A choice was offered. She stepped back. "We're not its keepers anymore." The war had ended. Not with victory, but with understanding. They didn't seal the vault. They left it open. For once, the knowledge was meant to breathe. The being remained within, but no longer as a guardian, as a guide. The crew returned to the Valkyr's vow, worn, wounded, changed. Dax sat at the helm, quiet. "It knew me," he said. Ilyra nodded. "Because you carried its shape. It saw you, and became what you needed." Rhea asked, "So, what are we now? Carriers? Messengers?" Kale stood by the viewport as Delva Prime fell away behind them. "We're not part of the legend anymore. We're what comes after it," Marin added. "The network's already rippling. Other vaults are waking. Data systems long sealed are sensing with known space." Ilyra looked to Kale. "We can't control this. We never could," he replied. "We just get to choose what we stand for as it changes." The ship accelerated. Not fleeing, not chasing, just moving forward, toward the next unknown. The ripple was unstoppable. Vaults activated from core space to the deepest rim. Memory beings emerged, each shaped by the trauma and hope of the people who unlocked them. Some guided, others judged. None stayed silent. Syndicate remnants fell apart. Dozens of worlds declared independence within days. Entire sectors abandoned their inherited flags and adopted new ones bearing the symbol from Delva. The concentric rings of memory. On Ardan Station, a child stood before a hologram of Ilyra, asking, "Was she real?" His mother replied, "She was more than real. She remembered for all of us." On the edge of known space, a small ship flew alone, no crew. Just a pulse, a new prism forming in its core, a new vault already waiting. The truth could not be destroyed. It could only be handed forward. And someone, somewhere, was already listening. Kale stood alone at the edge of the Valkyr's vows hangar, watching the stars stretch by. Ilyra approached beside him, both silhouetted in corridor light. "You've been quiet," she said. He nodded. "It doesn't feel like a win, just a shift." Ilyra replied, "That's what truth does. It doesn't give answers. It changes the questions." He looked over to her. "You ever think we should have left it buried?" She exhaled slowly. "Yes. Right up until I remembered what silence costs." Kale smirked. "You're still good at speeches. I'm better at endings," she said. He nodded once, then turned back toward the crew. Rhea was laughing with Marin. Talon leaned against the medbay door, shoulder bandaged, but smiling. Dak sat alone at the table, a soft light blinking beneath his skin. Kale watched it. "That light's not going out," he said. Ilyra smiled. "No, it's only just begun." On a planet no longer listed on charts, an old man carved symbols into stone, concentric rings, vault glyphs, fragments of truth. A girl watched him from the edge of the ridge. "What are those?" she asked. He smiled, lines of age etched into his skin. "Stories, pieces of them." She frowned. "From books?" "No," he said. "From people." Behind them, a small village glowed with gentle lights. No walls, no weapons, just memory. A place built by those who once ran from truth and now carried it openly. Far above, stars shifted. Not fast, not unnaturally, just enough for anyone who knew to see it. Another vault opened in a system long thought lost. Another ripple, another start. Legends, once hoarded by empires, now moved with the people. Legends among the stars, alive, enduring, never buried again.